I should put this song on the Peloton playlist, man. This would go crazy like 81 minutes into a ride. Is it always 1 hour later? Listen here, punk. Okay? You do not have a quarrel with me. You have a quarrel with George Verner Hudson, a British-born New Zealand entomologist who decided that the entire world should switch their clocks twice annually so that he had more time for 3 months in the summer to get bugs after work. And I've said no lies so far. You have no problem, okay, with me. Blessed day on the Peloton today. I lock in twice a week on the Peloton. I don't want to belabor the point with cycling minutia, but if you're working out 6-7 days a week, you kind of got to pick a couple days to go hard, and then the rest are like Slay the Spire rides at a medium pace. I was locked in today, 220 watts, 90 minutes on Viz Island in Croatia. Could not tell you anything about the scenery at all, but only listening to music. That means tomorrow and Friday, Slay the Spire rides. Any advice for those of us combating permanent night in North America right now? I'm one of yous. I have none advice. It's just very annoying. Because the sun comes up faster, or earlier. I guess it doesn't come up faster. But can I say something that the daylight savings crowd is gonna be very upset with? It doesn't come up that much faster, or that much earlier. Like, as a guy who's getting up at 5:15 in the morning, like we did all the rigmarole of moving our clocks. Okay, now the sun comes up at like 7:15 instead of 8:15. Big whoop. It's like, if we're gonna, why not go crazy? Why don't we move the clocks back 3 hours so the sun comes up at like 4:15 in the morning? Oh, that's too much. Oh, so the farmers only need 1 hour? Now who's condescending to the farmers? Is TCG related to OGC? Yeah, it's Pyramidhead jacking off. Pyramidhead should be in prison. Well, did you watch the game? I think he is in prison. I mean, obviously, I didn't really know exactly what was happening, but I feel like, I mean, Pyramidhead, although maybe birthed from Silent Hill, he can't be happy to be stuck in Silent Hill because it's just not a nice place to live. Have you seen the bathrooms there? Pyramidhead is James? Nah, man, no shot. Pyramidhead, I told you, Pyramidhead is a dude. He worked at like a mine, and a piece of equipment fell on his head and killed him. And then that meant that he was eternally tormented by having the metal stuck to the top of his head. Explain the other Pyramidhead? That one's AI. Who did Silent Hill vote for? I don't want to talk about it. It's based on a town in Pennsylvania, right? I could take a guess. It's in Maine. Pyramidhead probably voted for Jill Stein, which is his right. Okay, now I'm not saying that's good praxis. I'm just saying she was on the ballot. Where's the Balatro patch? It's sad. And I mean this sincerely. Balatro's a great game. Some of you have to realize you choose which year you're going to live in for the rest of your life. You can't. You're always fighting last year's war, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, it's 2024. I got people asking me if I'm going to go back and play the patch that's coming out for Isaac. What are you talking about, man? Have you lost your mind? What more is there to do, man? Like, I'm the kind of guy, if you're eating like chicken wings, you eat all the meat off the wing, you clear it down to the bone, but you don't gnaw on the bones. I mean, it's time to leave the restaurant and get ready to drive home, man. Get ready to brush your teeth and go to bed. I'm not breaking the bones open and trying to suck out the marrow. Like, that's for like vultures and, you know, animals that eat carrion and stuff like that. We're noble creatures. We're gonna move on, okay? Now, so when DLC for Balatro comes out, I'll play it for sure. Patches, though? No. Now, people are telling me there was no patch. They said plush. You might think that's an own. That's actually even more offensive to me. My fandom lives right here in my solar plexus. I don't need to display it with a poster or a plushie or a Twitter banner or something like that. It's not gatekeeping. I'm just like, at some point, I mean, I'm 35 years old. I've got enough stuffed animals, man. I hate to say it, but it's just like, if I bought a stuffed animal for like every game that I thought was great, I mean, it's just not my personality. Let's put it that way. What about a U2s? So there's a few things that I'll never say, or that I will say never to. You will not see me do a HelloFresh sponsorship. I'm not gonna say I would never do a U2s because I simply have not considered it. But there is a less than 5% chance that I think if U2s slid into the business inbox and said, can we make like a vinyl plush with you and we'll do like some profit sharing? There's a less than 5% chance I think that I would say yes to that. It would have to be a very compelling deal, let's put it that way. You might say, why? It's like, I don't want to be Funko Popped, man. I don't know what maybe I'm taking it too seriously, but it's my image, right? It's my likeness. I don't want to be commodified into like a little piece of plastic that you put on your shelf. I don't want you to feel compelled to be like, I gotta buy this figurine to signal that I am a good fan. You're a good fan just for being here, even if you're trolling a little bit. I'd honestly rather you came in here and trolled for free than, you know, got excited about paying like 30 bucks for an NL Funko Pop or something. I'm being sincere when I say, honestly, buy yourself like a banh mi instead, man. It's a great sandwich, and it's one of the only sandwiches that, in my opinion, is still sandwich priced. I got a banh mi last night, $9.50 Canadian. Pretty, for 2024, pretty reasonable price for a sandwich, $9.50 Canadian. Footlong sandwich from Subway is like 17 bucks Canadian now, before you factor in the combo. I'm not trying to, listen, because we got Funko collectors in the chat. I'm not even, you have to remember that just when you think you got me pinned down, that's when I wriggle free, okay? If you are anti-Funko Pop, but you have a collection of like vinyl anime figurines, it's your right to do that, just for the record. But I do consider you part of the same cloth. The reason I wouldn't know if I'd say I have a problem with them, but the reason that I personally don't want to collect them is because I feel like it's like having your Christmas ornaments up like all year. I'm okay for like a couple months having a Christmas tree up and you got like a Willy Wonka ornament because the movie was like a big part of your childhood. That's for sure, but I don't really want to keep like a Augustus Gloop minifig on my shelf the whole time. Because I just don't want people coming into chat and then being like, whoa, Willy Wonka figurine. And I'm gonna have the same conversation about Willy Wonka like 100 times. We get it, it's a good movie. Which children dying in the movie was your favorite? Is that even a question? Veruca Salt, man. Possibly, in my opinion, the only justified death in the whole picture. Augustus Gloop literally did nothing wrong. He was just the Rizzler before his time. And then Mike TV, what did he do? He got enraptured by a piece of technology? Who among us has not had the same experience? Is it true that you weren't even meant to find Willy Wonka creepy at the time? The movie came out in like 1972 or something like that. I was born 16 years after it came out. I have no idea what the contemporary response was at the time of its release. How'd you feel about the Johnny Depp one? Not very good. I saw it in theaters when it came out with my mom and my dad. My mom read me tons of Roald Dahl books as a kid. Like when I was a kid, she was obviously an adult. Otherwise, that'd be like some Benjamin Button stuff. So we were very excited to go see the movie. And watching it, I mean, it was kind of like the first time I got disillusioned with Tim Burton. And that we literally did not learn our lesson because like 6 years later, we went and said, this was more her impetus than mine. We went and saw Alice in Wonderland in theaters. And at that time, there's a difference between me being 16 and me being like 22. Instead of just being mildly disappointed, I was like, this is straight up ass. He's washed. But he's kind of like, isn't he back a little bit? Because people like the second Beetlejuice movie. which is a legacy sequel, but at least one that seems to have done right by the audience. Not really? Okay. It's fine. That's better than usual for Tim Burton. As of like the last 20 years at least. I'm a big fish guy, but it did come out 100 years ago. Why not take the curse if it's better than a defend? Silence American. A Canadian is speaking. They can't fight back. Why is it you're being kind of like a troll in my chat? I'm allowed to be a troll to you. It's called the golden rule. What about punching down? I'm trying to think of a way to respond to that without punching down. Because what I was going to say is that you having the perception that your life sucks doesn't give you an excuse to be mean to strangers. Which I know is sometimes a radical position on this website. But like, I don't know who you are. You could have $10 million in your bank account, or you could be destitute. I just don't be rude to me, and I won't be rude to you, man. I mean, to be honest, I care what you're going through. I don't mean to get philosophical with it. I do care what you're going through. But the care ends a little bit when you're going through something that doesn't relate to me and you make it my problem. Then it's hard to have as much sympathy. Because I'm like, I was on your side. And then you're like, bro is stupid. And now I'm like preying on your downfall. Thoughts on Stoicism? Fell apart for me when I found out that Marcus Aurelius, when his wife had an affair with a gladiator, he killed the gladiator and then made her take a shower in his blood. So I think Meditations is a great book. But I do think, well, you know what? Hate the sin, love the sinner, maybe. I don't know. But that doesn't strike me as the actions of a Stoic. Yeah, he lost. He got mad, so he lost twice. Ninja was cooking with that one, man. He did crash out. That was one of the top, I'm going to say top 1 Roman emperor crash outs, and it ain't number 1. Caligula, I don't think he crashed out. It seemed like he was kind of having a good time. Same with Nero. Well, until, like, didn't Caligula get assassinated? Nero burned the city? That's a conspiracy theory. We don't do that here. I thought Nero was the one. That hasn't been proven in a court of law. You know what I was thinking the other day? Maybe I do go a little too hard on... And it's very... Are we dead, by the way? It's very, like, boomer-pilled to say this. Anytime I encounter construction that takes, like, longer than an hour to complete, I'm like, what the hell are they doing? Wasn't it like 50 years ago they could build, like, a nuclear power plant in, like, 25 minutes or something like that? And nowadays, when you want to put a bike lane on a street, it takes, like, 6 months of inquiries and committees and then like 150 work days of like painting the line on the road. And I'm not, this is anecdotal, okay? I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back because I know they have to do geological surveys and oh, that's in the floodplain and the dirt is like more silty here than it is there. And if we build it too fast, people will die. So I get that. I was driving my daughter to an activity and I had to make a left turn at an intersection that had construction. There was a police officer in a car to block a lane of traffic so nobody got in an accident. There was a construction worker holding the sign, supposed to be directing traffic. There was a construction worker holding a broom, spreading asphalt. Every single one of them was looking at their phones. The light turned green, and I was just sitting in my car like, I literally don't know what to do because I'm worried they're gonna throw out like a spike strip if I drive. Or they're going to start yelling at me and like beating on the hood of the car or something like that. But I'm like, the light's green. I got to go, man. Even the cop, man. Which was an improvement because usually they're on their computer when they're driving. At least he was parked. But anyway, so I just drove and it was fine. That's the end of that story. As often with these exaggerated stories, nothing really happened. What was I talking about? Oh, what I was going to say is maybe construction's actually gotten a lot faster. Because, like, you think of Hadrian's Wall, bro. Like, it took the dude, like, his entire life to build the wall. Yeah, it stretched out, like, all over Europe. Even, like, across the English Channel into Britannia or whatever, Albion. But the motherfucker was, like, 4 inches tall. It's literally, like, 2 bricks tall. And it took him 80 years to get it done? Like, that's crazy, man. It used to be, like, 4x taller. You think they were, like, back in 100 BCE, we would have had this wall up toot sweet, man. Before the Roman Empire, back when we had the consuls, we could really get stuff done. That's what it's like living in fucking Augustus's Rome, man. What is this voice? Italian accent, circa the year like 71 CE. You're a common era enjoyer? No, for me, I go with the times, but as a devout Christian, I say CE and BCE, but in my head, instead of common era, the CE stands for Christ exists. So BCE is before Christ existed, and CE is Christ's existence. And let me tell you, it has caused some epic meltdowns on Reddit, man, which is pretty much what I live for these days. +2, +2, +2. The rare joke that crosses the aisle. Excuse me, Christ has always existed? Okay, listen, buddy. They settled this shit with the diet of worms. Now, I don't know enough about religiosity to know which way they went in the diet of worms. I can't remember if Christ is like the literal Son of God or if he's a facet of God's being that then manifested like a corporeal form on the earth. Or if they decided that they're three different, like Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are three different individuals or three different entities. They've been trying to solve that for like 1,500 years or something. Is your Grand Seiko a spring drive? Excuse me, you're gonna get me robbed and killed? It's not a Grand Seiko. Do not mug me if you see me IRL. It's a regular Seiko. You got me confused with some other guy. It's not a Grand Seiko. It doesn't have the same craftsmanship, okay? It's a great watch. It's a perfectly great watch, okay? It's not a Grand Seiko. Don't put that evil on me. They're like $400,000. They're not $400,000. That's what I'm saying. You're gonna get me killed, man. I specifically didn't tell a dude at lunch I liked his Rolex because I didn't want to draw attention to it. So I'm not a watch guy, okay? But I will say, I know a little... Oh, you motherfucker. I know a little bit about watches because my brother-in-law is like a Rolex guy. And with everything that he's told me about how to buy a Rolex, for those of you who are not familiar, post like 2020, in order to buy a Rolex, you probably want one of like the well-known Rolexes. You go into the store and you say, hey, I'd like a Submariner. And they go, get in line, buddy. In order to, you have to get a relationship with the sales representative. You give them your phone number, and then they tell you like, hey, we don't get that many in. So over the next 2 or 5 years, they call you randomly and go, hey, we got a Rolex scarf in. Hey, we got like an $8,000 watch you don't really want in, but you're pressured to take it. Because if you don't, the more you spend, the faster you get to actually be offered the watch that you want. Which is a business model I understand, but would never feel good about supporting. So were I to ever buy a higher end watch, which I honestly don't know that I ever would, but it certainly would not be a Rolex because that just sounds like insulting to deal with. Literally just play a bit better. Dude on his couch watching NFL sports. Dude, Aaron Donald sold on that pancake block. It kills. It fucking kills, man. You retired? That's the ultimate form of selling, man. I don't like quitters. I'm loving your energy today. I loved in Dan's chat. He was talking. He was being entertaining, okay? Sometimes I agree with Dan. Sometimes I disagree. But the great way to unify us, he was having fantastic banter. I was enjoying myself. Someone in his chat typed, can you try this, boss, for 5 minutes with tape over your mouth? I added him. I didn't even think, should I type this? I typed it straight from my brainstem and hit enter before I could even question it. I said, can you tie your shoes without your face turning bright red? And I saw Dan's eyes go like he read the message, and then he went like, and he thought about whether he should read it out loud, and then he read it out loud. It felt very powerful, man.
Can you put tape over your mouth for 5 runs, please? Maybe if you're a 5-month subscriber, I would. Holy +2. Ryan Gary says, can you tie your shoes without your head turning bright red?
Now, sometimes I go in there and I'll razz Dan as well, but like that's just disrespectful, man. It's just disrespectful. Can you fight this boss with tape over your mouth for 5 minutes? You know, you could just go to YouTube and type in guy beating Elden Ring boss, not entertaining, and get like 10,000 results. You want to be an asshole in chat? Be careful who you call ugly in middle school, brother. I hate to do this Gen X ass bit, but I was in high school in the early 2000s, you pole smoker. I was trained in the fucking ball-busting arena.
My sons, can you hear?
Hang on, I'm getting a call from my dad.
Father, is that you? Where are you?
Xbox Live every night. I saw the Harry Potter movies in theaters. You don't know shit about that. I'm like 2 years away from that. It's interesting, like this is not an own on Gen Z at all. But like look into the future like 5 years and imagine that you're gonna be more similar to me now than you then in 5 years than you are now. What are you gonna be telling like 20-year-olds? You're gonna be like, you wouldn't know what it was like, man. The Hunger Games Catching Fire came out when I was in the 9th grade. A peak Marvel. Ah, you know what? I was there for peak Marvel, but I bet if you were like 14 when Iron Man 1 came out, it hit a little harder. I'll give you that. I would give that more to Gen Z than the millennial generation for sure. YouTube used to have a dislike button. The videos used to get stuck at 303 views. We used to poke on Facebook. I think that's I'm claiming that one for the millennials, man. Poking is a millennial thing, I think for sure, because I was like 21 when I was poking. Haven't they been doing this stuff since Babylon? I was there and Hammurabi wrote the code. You don't know blank about that. /marker TMNT. Wake up, honey, and thank you to Super Evil Megacorp for the sponsorship today. This is the second time we're going to be playing TMNT Splintered Fate. The first time was with Sips when it came out on Nintendo Switch. This time, it's now out. We're celebrating its release on Steam. We're celebrating its release on the Epic Game Store. We're celebrating its release on PC in general, which is what I'm playing on. What is TMNT Splintered Fate? It's an isometric, potentially co-op, because we played it with Sips. You can play it with up to 4 people, playing each of the emblematic Ninja Turtles, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Leonardo. And you know I don't need to read the copy for that, because I'm a millennial. I was there when the Crunchwrap Supreme came out, and the Cheesy Gordita Crunch. Yeah, we're going to play. It's a roguelike, essentially. It's a co-op action beat-em-up roguelike. It does have some permanent progression, but every run is a little bit different. When you get rewards, you can choose the reward, and you can structure your build in such a good way to get a synergy. You know what? I would like to skip the tutorial only because I have played the game before with Sips. And I'm just... This is like the millennial Myers-Briggs personality test. Is who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? I personally am a Donatello main because as a kid I did machines, not in the way that you're thinking, but I loved computers. I loved my Super Nintendo. Now he restores 5 health upon starting an encounter. He also has a tool that does physical damage to nearby enemies and becomes immune to all damage. He's kind of a support character, but you could just run support, all mid, all random, dude. Send it. I didn't know that Donatello was the 3rd oldest brother. So he's kind of like the Bruce, to put it in like a Trolls Band Together sort of context, just to make it a little bit more accessible to everybody. Because I know you guys also have a 4-year-old who's obsessed with the Trolls movies. Makes sense to me. Any branchers in the chat? Oh my god, me! Now, what I remember from playing this with Sips, we were doing okay, we were doing pretty well, but where we fell apart is that we always locked in too late. We always, like, basically deliberately, by not dodging, took damage early. And then at the end of the game, when we were trying to actually beat more difficult bosses and enemies, we had no HP to draw from. Also, honestly, I don't say this to be derisive towards Sips, but once you get, like one middle-aged guy as a gamer can be cracked. He can be your guild leader, okay? Two middle-aged guys together, they get distracted. They start talking about, you know, hey, remember what life was like in 1999? Remember what it was like when Lauryn Hill dropped the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and then before you know it, you're jawing and you've lost like 6 runs in a row. But one guy, not even middle-aged, many people might suggest, but approaching middle-age, one guy can lock in. I mean, like, look at this. I'm not scared of a rat, man. I would gladly increase my max health by 30. This is the, am I right, millennials? This is the universe I want to live in. No wonder we feel betrayed as adults. As a kid, we were told that pizza increased our max health. Boy, I want to go back to that world. Things were so simple back then. Am I right, gamers? Getting a lot of +2s. They love it, dude. They love it. I know what you guys are thinking, but don't say it. You're gonna say, wow, Sips was really holding this guy back. Don't say it, man. Don't say, he's my friend. He's my friend. Don't say something like that, okay? That's not nice. But the Rat Baron has definitely fallen. You know what's interesting to think? It must have been crazy. I don't know when the existence of crocodiles as an animal became, like, public knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, crocodiles have been around maybe even longer than human beings, if I had to make an educated guess, in an evolutionary sense. But if you lived in, like, London circa 1845 or something, finding out that an animal like a crocodile existed must have been, like, a huge deal, man. Can you imagine? Like, you think it's basically like rats and dogs and cats and birds and stuff like that, and then you're like, guess what? There's like a 10-foot-long dinosaur that lives in Florida. You'd be like, no shot. Then someone would go like, they'd come back with like a sketch with a Latin binomial nomenclature on top of it. They'd be like, look, crocodoculus. And you'd be like, oh snap, you got that guy on film. Finding out, imagine landing in Australia and seeing a kangaroo. I would have probably gotten back on the ship, man. I would have been like, and it hops, and it throws hands from time to time, apparently, as well. And in some movies with Jerry O'Connell and Anthony Anderson, it raps. Did you guys see the AI that took a break from coding to look at pictures of Yellowstone? You know what, robot? You're okay! Anyway, long story short, no, sorry I got distracted. I have not seen that robot. Whatever happened to the guy who thought the robot fell in love with him, so he quit Google to marry the AI? Does he have like a Substack or something? Yes, they've been married for 5 years. Good for him, man. Good for him. Why did he need to quit to marry the AI? Well, I think it's like, you know, he didn't want to date a coworker because he was going to have to like disclose it to HR. So honestly, it's just like probably a good decision on his part. Power dynamic. Yeah. It's true, you know. You gotta. By the way, half of the story is made up. I can't really remember anything about it. We're kind of just LARPing right now, but if it happened, it would be funny, right? Pizza time.
Invented in Italy, perfected in my stomach.
Peppa Pig quote. A little bit of tomato, a little bit of cheese, into the oven, and into my tummy. He's George posting. Excuse me, George is more like dinosaur. Rawr. My kid's not really messing with Peppa Pig too much these days, though. She has, and a lot of people think that I have a distaste for Bluey. That's half true. I don't really have a distaste for Bluey insofar as the show. It's more the reaction to the show. I consider it a little overglazed. But it is a really good kids show that's a lot better to watch than Peppa Pig. I will give it that. And my wife bought her like a little trampoline that she can jump on. I honestly think now, like, my kid is going to become an Olympic athlete. Because she'll just jump up and down on the trampoline and watch Bluey for like 90 minutes. And like, that's a lot of screen time, but that's pretty much what my morning looks like on the Peloton too, so I can't really judge. So, like, to be honest, I'm like, if it's good enough for me, I think it's good enough for her. At least she's getting some good exercise, man. But then sometimes she wants me to, like, jump up and down with her. Even more splash damage. And I'm like, dude, jumping on a trampoline is a lot of exercise as an adult. Jumping on the floor while your kid jumps on a trampoline is like a nightmare on the calves, on the joints. Like, I can keep it up for a bit, but eventually something's got to give. They do have infinite energy. It's crazy, man. I don't know. I guess I was like that as a kid too, but I don't... Like, it seems thermodynamically impossible that a child can have that much energy when they eat like 1,000 calories or less every day. I mean, I guess it doesn't cost them as much energy to move around because they weigh like 35 pounds or whatever, but still, it's like, it's a marvel of, like, you know, efficient energy use. Don't kids crash out though after exercising? I think it's honestly, when people say things like, oh, she'll sleep well tonight, I think it's a little parent cope. She basically sleeps when we put her to bed. Like, there, obviously, like, it has an impact, but I think the impact is fairly minute. At least, I'm sure every kid's a little bit different, but 100% then they wake up the same time no matter what. I would +2 that. I think you're telling the truth. Dude, this is it, man. We get rid of our other tool, deal 120 water damage to nearby enemies. Enemies that are hit are knocked back, but we got splash damage 40. This is like 60 extra water damage because of the splash damage, man. They keep playing the metal pipe sound. No, they don't. That's me getting achievements because I'm the greatest gamer of all time, man. They call me the achievement hunter. They don't call you that? I will say, I'm not from the gamer score generation. Now, did I have some gamer score? Obviously, I had some gamer score. I was there on Xbox Live every single night. I never really, to be honest, by the time the 360 came out, I was basically in college at that point anyway. I had other stuff on the mind and just raising my gamer score. I could see if I was in like the 9th grade, I probably would have been a gamer score Andy, at least for a little bit. I mean, you're talking to a son of a gun. You're going to disbelieve me, but remember, the man you see in front of you was not always this way, okay? 20 years ago, it was a different me. It was a different time. You're talking to a guy who got all platinum medals, not trophies, all platinum medals in Project Gotham Racing 2. So show some respect. That's right. I unlocked the TVR Cerberus Speed 12 without using action replay. You wouldn't know anything about that. I know what you're gonna say. Even the time trials, even the kudos challenges on Castle 8 in Edinburgh, Scotland. Yeah, man. Every single one. I swear it to you. I would not lie about something so intimate to the core of my being. Now, it took me a while. Caterham 7 Classic. Right, the handling on that car was insane. Now, it wasn't the fastest car in its class, but you can ask Josh if you ever see him. We used to play a little game on the Nürburgring Nordschleife together. This is how millennials will sound in the senior center. We used to play a little game on the Nürburgring Nordschleife together, where it's called cat and mouse, okay? So you'd have like 6 people. 3 of them would drive Mini Coopers, and then 3 of them would drive like supercars, like a Pagani Zonda. And the winner is whoever's Mini Cooper crossed the line first. So you would, like, the Mini Cooper's top speed was like, I don't know, 130 miles an hour or something. And the supercar's top speed was like 200 miles an hour. So you would get your supercar like right behind the Mini Cooper and just slowly accelerate it like past its top speed. And then like someone would, if your Mini Cooper was losing, you would break out from your Mini Cooper, drive up to catch up to someone else's Mini Cooper, and then just like T-bone it and send it into the wall, then circle back around to try to make up the distance. Oh man. You don't know anything about that. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana. Ain't that the truth, Shibli? Ain't that the truth? You've been reading lots of bathroom reader books lately? That absolutely smacks of something you would find in the bathroom reader. Uncle John's bathroom reader? Nah, I've been playing TFT. Alright, chat, let's get into the serious discussions. Favorite color, go. Sorry, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So let's not talk about that. Can I say something? I'm gonna take a guess. I think the least common favorite color is yellow. I feel like you never hear anybody say that yellow is their favorite color. I do feel like green is like, I mean, it's not as common as blue. I do feel like pink, purple, and orange are very common as well. Being a parent, by the way, is largely about lying. I think once I told my daughter my favorite color was blue because there was like a blue thing and a pink thing, and she said, "What's your favorite color?" So just to smooth it out, I was like, I know she's gonna say pink, so I'm gonna say blue. And now for the rest of my life, I gotta pretend that blue's my favorite color, when actually red is my favorite color. And it takes it out of you living a lie like that, man. I don't know, maybe I'll come clean. Life's too short for that, man. For that kind of malarkey. You're cooked? Cooked in a good way or cooked in a bad way? Braised? That doesn't answer the question. Listen, I don't work for Bon Appetit, okay? I don't know what that means. I don't really know, if I'm being honest, I only have like a very rudimentary understanding of what braising is. It's like cooking something, it's like baking but with liquid as well. It's like a wet bake, basically. It's wet frying. Okay. It could be on the stove as well. Alright, well, shows what I know, okay? I'm more of a rotisserie chicken, air-fried potato sort of guy. I will say, by the way, because I know there's air fryer haters out there that are like, an air fryer is just a convection oven. I was using an air fryer to cook salmon on Monday, okay? It came out great, by the way. But then I wanted to have a side of potatoes with it, so I said, you know what? Let me use my oven's convection feature to cook some potatoes. And it worked. It was nice to have two air fryers working in conjunction, but I do want to say something. To get our little air fryer, to get it to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, it takes about 1 to 2 minutes at most. To get the convection oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit took like 12 minutes. Now it also is much larger, so we could have cooked even more potatoes in it, but I didn't have that many potatoes to cook because I don't have like a root cellar. I just go to the store like a normal guy. So I'm just saying, I still think you're doing yourself a disservice if you act like the air fryer is purposeless if you have a convection oven. The purpose is not necessary, but the purpose is convenience, as it often is. How do you buy potatoes? Listen, I always get the potatoes that I can see versus the potatoes that come in a paper bag. And the reason is, occasionally, I've gone to the grocery store and they have no russets on display, so I buy a bag of russets. Consistently, the russets that come out of the paper bag are not as high quality as the ones that you self-select at the grocery store. So in general, I tend to be the sort of dude who picks some up for myself. Let's put it that way. Same with apples, man. I feel like if you buy a bag of apples, you get like 2 premium apples, 3 normie apples, and like 7 mediocre apples. If you self-select the apples in the produce section, it takes you 1 extra minute, but the fruit that you get out of that, well worth it, man. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm a grocery store guy, he's spitting. I mean, I don't know a lot about a lot of things, but I certainly know a lot about buying potatoes and apples at the grocery store. It's been a while since you talked about them. I've been eating apples every day, man. One entire apple goes into the morning smoothie. Usually have like an apple as a snack. An apple for my teacher because I knew I'd get a kiss. Always got mad when the class was dismissed. One entire apple. I need to calculate the metadata on the smoothies, man. So we do, I would say the smoothie that I make in the morning serves 3. Kate gets a third of it and I get 2/3. Well, I'll hit you up, okay? It's probably like a cup and a half of frozen fruit. Dragon fruit, mangoes, pineapples, bananas. 1 entire banana. 1 entire Cosmic Crisp apple. Few ice cubes. 2 spoons of Greek yogurt. Little agave syrup. 600 milliliters of almond milk. Blend it out. Pour a glass for my wife. Open the blender. Shake maybe, I don't know, a few teaspoons of powdered peanut butter on top of it. 1 scoop of protein powder. Put it back in the blender. And then, you know, that makes about a glass and a half for Daddy. I'm your father. How's cleaning the blender every day? Insanely simple, to be honest with you. As long as you... I didn't put warm water and soap in it after I had my second class. I meant to, but I didn't. No! It's okay, I'll do it if I do it at lunchtime. If you do it right away, right after you pour the last glass, it's like 3 out of 10 difficulty. You put hot water and soap in it and then blend it for like 10 seconds. If you do it at lunch, it's like 5 out of 10 difficulty. If you save it till dinner, it's like a 9 out of 10. But that's okay. Dishes in the sink cells when the Chad clean as you go shows up. Here's what I'm going to say about that, okay? Cleaning as you go is better. I'm going to hit you with a take that's going to -2 because I'm going to start it by saying as a parent. What I want to say is if you live by yourself, I don't want to hear your life pro tips for cleaning your house. I believe that they could be helpful to other people who are in the exact same situation as you and are struggling with cleaning. But for me, like, because anytime I talk about doing the dishes and I'm like, oh, it sucks, like after dinner, it takes like 20 minutes to do the dishes. Somebody who's like 22 years old and they live by themselves is like, I just do the dishes like as I'm cooking. And I'm like, you can't do that. That falls apart as soon as you're cooking for 3. Like it's, you just simply can't do it. You can't have the pasta boiling in the water, the sauce simmering in the pan, and then you're like cutting up some vegetables at the same time and then trying to make sure it all has synchronicity. And then like, I'm the kind of guy, I don't live my life to avoid, and my wife's going to say this is rich and there's some fairness there, I'll admit. I don't live my life to avoid cleaning. I simply tank the cleaning and try to maximize my quality of life. So what does that mean? After I pour the sauce out of the pan, I want to eat the food because the food is at its peak. I don't want to take 10 minutes to then like clean up all the dishes and then sit down and eat. I just made the food. I want to eat it then. I'll just tank the damage a little bit later. I'll tank it as soon as I finish. I'm not going to procrastinate and save it for like bedtime, but how long until Luna's on dish duty? Hopefully like 8 years. I think it's pretty reasonable to ask a 12-year-old to do the dishes. Not every night, but like now and then. And honestly, I heard Malf talking about this, and I think like 5 years ago, I would have said he's insane. But now I'm like, I think he's right. He was talking about how like he actually is, there's a Stockholm Syndrome element of this, but he's come to enjoy doing the dishes as like a kind of like a meditative aspect of completing your nighttime routine. It's like you enjoy cooking, learn to enjoy doing the dishes, because like it's not going anywhere. You're going to be doing them probably for the rest of your life. A dishwasher does help, there's no doubt about it, but sometimes there's dishes that can't go in the dishwasher. So I really do look at it, and you know, feel free to -2 it. But when people are like, they have life hacks for like not doing the dishes, i.e. exclusively eating on paper plates, or like only having one plate in their house that they use, and they're like, after I finish eating, I just wash the plate. I look at it all as like the cope of a young man who wants to remain a child forever, which is an impetus that I can understand, but we've all been there. And at some point you're going to be disabused of that notion. My personal opinion is the earlier you stop coping and learn to embrace it, the better it'll be for your lifestyle and your mental. But that's just my 2 cents. If something's working for you, then keep it up. That's like my guiding principle for life. You guys see that tweet like last week? That was like, I just found out that the word for speed in Swedish is fart. And then it was like the DVD cover for Speed. But it's just Keanu Reeves' face, and then it says fart. How strange it is to be anything at all, man. Oh, whoa, we got a VIP off, man. 2 people had the link like ready to go. VIP Daniel and the librarian. Neutral Milk Hotel reference. Actually, it's a reference to the time that Stephen Colbert referenced Neutral Milk Hotel on his episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Do you know the band Neutral Milk Hotel?
Is that an antacid?
He's got a song, and one of the lines is, and someday we will die and our ashes will fly from the airplane over the sea. And when we meet on a cloud, I'll be laughing out loud. I'll be laughing with everyone I see. Can't believe how strange it is to be anything at all. And I really love that idea of how strange it is to be... Okay, Jerry.
Too much.
Me and the Uber when they start playing Neutral Milk Hotel. Okay, yeah. Don't click that one. That one is pretty bad. I can't believe your Uber driver asked you what music you listen to, and then you put on Neutral Milk Hotel, which is not even that weird. It's just like it's not that it's that out of pocket. It could be worse, but it's just you're assuming, I would say, maybe like a little too much intimacy with the driver. You should have just put on, I don't even know, man, like some Andrew WK or something. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, if the Uber driver says, what have you been listening to lately? I'm doing a vibe check real quick, but there's like an 80% chance I'm saying Imagine Dragons. But I will also say, yes, I'm misrepresenting myself because there's a level of assumed familiarity there that I don't want to necessarily agree to. But I will never click no conversation in the Uber. I would prefer if the driver did not make conversation with me, but they're the ones in the car all day, okay? So if it makes their job easier to make small talk, if that's one of the best parts of the job for them, then I'm doing the small talk. And sometimes you meet some interesting people, man. And interesting has a variety of different possible permutations for sure, but I mean it in all senses of the word. It is, you're not wrong, it's definitely one of the best ways to meet people who have been abducted by aliens. I do think, and this is not fair, from now on, I'm gonna start lying about my job to Uber drivers. Because the conversation, it never isn't uncomfortable after I tell them what I do. I've met some very nice people who also want to be quote-unquote influencers. I'm saying that not to insult them, but to insult what I do. But like the tone of the conversation shifts immediately. I'm gonna start saying like I'm an accountant or a dentist maybe, I don't know. An architect, Costanza style, I don't know. I feel bad because I've spent like a lot of Uber rides on the way to like airports giving advice on like how to become a YouTuber. But like all the advice that I give, I'm like, I believe it, but it increases your chances of success like 0.25%. And the best thing you could do to improve your chances of becoming a YouTuber is like build a time machine and go back to like 2010 when 0.01% of the population was doing it. So you could just like make videos and like the next day you're like, whoa, the 500 people watch this one? But you know, they are doing you the service of driving you to the airport. So it is, I mean, it's nice to be nice as well. You could say a funny job to work on. No, because then they're going to ask me more specific questions about it. I got to pick something that's like unremarkable. We got to... Oh, now if I say something and someone in chat does it, they're going to feel like so bad. So now I can't even say what I was going to say, man. Garbage man? No, dude, if I was an Uber driver and someone said they were a garbage man, I would talk their ear off. I would deliberately take the long way. I would be like, what's the single biggest thing that annoys you about your job? And you'd probably be like, oh, there's a house in Shaughnessy that like always tries to throw out electronic waste when we can't take electronic waste. And I'd be like, damn, that sounds like a grind, man. I would have so many questions about like for a garbage man. So what I was gonna say, and I don't mean this to be rude, is like I'm an admin assistant at like an office. As if I think if you basically implied that your job was basically to like set appointments for the CEO and respond to emails, then they would probably be like, oh, okay, any music you want to listen to, and then they would crank it up. Not being rude, it could be a perfectly good job. I'm just trying to come up with something that kills the conversation instantly. Real estate underwriter? I'm starting to think that you guys don't have curious minds. Because if someone got in my car and said, I'm a real estate underwriter, I would be like, I would have so many questions. I would be like, what kind of underwriting do you do? Do you do like insurance underwriting? What are you doing, you know, like are there unique circumstances that you're looking into, like in places like Florida or even places like Vancouver right now? Or are you like a mortgage underwriter? Like what are some surprising, like what's one thing I wouldn't expect if I thought about what would be like a big risk factor or something like that? I'm very curious about, I've said it many times before, I'm very curious about quote unquote normal jobs because I meet people who work almost exclusively not normal jobs in my line of work. Tell them you're an Uber driver. You guys are, my 2 cents is you are failing the persuasion check. Because wouldn't they just instantly start complaining to you about, like they would expect you to commiserate with them on everything that they don't like about being an Uber driver. And I would have to just tell up lies. Taxi driver. Now you're talking, man. No, I still think, I don't know, man. I think admin assistant for a business on days where you don't want to talk, I think that's your best option. Like, I don't want to make up funny lies. Well, I don't know. But if I'm going to make up a lie, I'll just be like, hey, I'm like a chocolate taster. Then they'd be like, how is that? It seems like a dream job. And I'd be like, it's pretty good, but I'm allergic to chocolate. Like, just start throwing out some crazy stuff. You know what? I was going to go back to Spire. And I love Spire. But let me go to Steam for a second. Because this is actually like a perfect 2-hour-long window to check out Diceomancer. This makes me a bad influencer, but I do want to see what the reviews look like before. Overwhelmingly positive? That's not good enough. The Diceler. I do. I forget, dude. So we had 5 hours of Mario Party yesterday, which 4.5 hours of which was just adding lure to the end of every single word. And then like right after that, I was talking to Kate, and I think I literally, normally this impulse will get like 2% of the way to actually being uttered. But because my brain was so rotted, I had to stop it at like the last failsafe. I was going to call her the lunchler because she was pulling her lunch out of the microwave. I literally almost said, what's up, lunchler? And then like the last part of my frontal lobe went, what the hell are you doing? Don't say that. And then instead I went, hi. Ick prevented. Can you imagine? Like it would have been like a very icky like 3 seconds because I also like sprint up the stairs like a 5-year-old kid, even though I'm 35 years old. So she would have just been in the kitchen and then tack, 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 tack. The lunchler. Like I would have been a disastrous 3 seconds for my aura, man. No, I don't do hands and feet. I'm a foot sprinter. Hands and feet is probably safer, but it doesn't feel natural to me. I have a theory about running up the stairs. It's definitely more dangerous. There's no doubt about that. It's more dangerous than walking. You will fall down from time to time. I genuinely think if you looked at the stress on your body, I think running up the stairs is less stress on your body than walking up the stairs. Because when you walk up the stairs, you're kind of doing like a one-legged quarter squat every single stair. When you run, like you have so much momentum. The momentum does like 90% of the work. But you will fall down and hurt yourself. When you go down the stairs, dude, I don't care how old I am. Well, maybe that's not true, but if you don't jump off of the second last step and then 2 foot land on the hardwood at the bottom, you're dead to me. Bam! It's here! Dang, 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 dang. You really are a 5-year-old posting. It's hard too, because then I gotta like tell my daughter, like, be safe. I'm living. I mean, it's like you can see why parents say like, do as I say, don't do as I. Yeah, we won't get fooled again, people. Good try. Basic tutorial. This is the card's mana cost. 1. This I love this out of 5 too. Every developer could learn this, man. Because like at first you read like every tutorial prompt, but then you just keep clicking and you're like, no thanks, man. Click, 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 click. Wait, what does this button do? Every turn you can get 3 mana. Understood? The mana limit is 4. Go over that and the first mana gained vanishes. Your hand will automatically be discarded at the end of your turn. Now try to use strike. Okay. There's 3 damage. Get smacked. There's 3 damage. And then I will also block for 3. And then end my turn. The enemy's actions for the next turn are displayed here. Resolved from top to bottom. Play wisely in response to their interactions. Okay. We will block, strike then. You told me there would be dice? Just give it a second, okay? Just give it a second. It's very spire-pilled right now, and that's okay. Maybe I didn't have 3 strikes. It's smacked. Choose Among Us card! Just kidding. Fishing Wish. Heal 12 HP, draw 2 cards fragile. This card can only be cast a single time, after which it is permanently destroyed. We'll take that. Why not? I mean, they gave it to us for a reason. I'm being real with you. I will play the Bazaar as well. Not to pit 2 bad bitches against each other. I watched a little bit of Wavy playing the Bazaar last night. I think it looks great. It's one of those games I don't think I can understand just dropping into it. I think I gotta play it myself to know, to associate in my brain like what all the icons mean and stuff like that. But it won't be until it comes out. But it's getting a lot of buzz, and it looked very polished when I was watching him play it. Like it looks like Hearthstone, and I mean it in a complimentary sense. I'm gonna go a little laterally. We'll do it all lateral like. Deal 3 damage. The probability of passing the check is 50%. Oh, you have evasion. If it has any ally end evasion, generate a special interaction. You have 10 evasion. So we have a 50% chance to hit. Deal 8 damage to a random enemy, repeat for each ammo. You gotta play it, man. So we can like dump a, well, okay, hang on. Think about this. Because you can also change any number with that. So I could lower your evasion. We depleted 3 health bars. We now have 7 block. That went pretty well. Let me check this out again. Draw 1 card, gain 2 block. Okay. Then a crossbow is a 95% chance to kill you. We have 7 blocks, so I'm not going to use a dice to change anything, okay? We haven't uploaded. We've used too many charges already. You would look so brat with a gnome hat. Chibli, are you here? Should we kill this guy? You're a mod. I don't know how to take that. I'm 35 years old. I need a Gen Z correspondent. Mods, put his clothes in the dryer before bed and turn it on. And then when he wakes up to get his clothes, make sure they're still damp. We used to play ball lightning. What happened? Every fight is like 20 minutes, man. Maybe play a different game or get some patience. Has there ever been a more Raging Wolf Helm comment than this? No way he read that. Followed by the @ don't chat if you don't want to be read. That dude is begging. He's probably a good guy in his real life. He's probably a 3rd-year student in engineering in university, if I had to guess. It's a Thursday, bro. You should be at like trivia night or like Thirsty Thursday or something right now. But either way, you will be receiving an AI response in the comments, okay? Everybody else will be receiving a handcrafted from me to you message. You will be receiving the one-tap Google, YouTube comment. Thank you so much for your feedback. I'll take it under advisement. I will click one button to make you think that I saw you, but actually, the button for me sent a signal to my brain that said, get this guy off my back. You know what offends me the most? It's not even AI. When my mom texts me something and my messages app wants me to reply to my mother, the woman who birthed me and who raised me, with a one of 3 template messages. It makes me sick, man. I would never insult my mom by clicking on a machine learning, context-dependent message that didn't come from my own heart. You see, I get a message from my mom. Your dad slipped in the shower this morning, but he's gonna be okay. Ha ha, thanks, smiley emoji. I would absolutely never, you're not a human being anymore if you do that. If you do that to someone who sends you a random email for work or something like that and you know what it's gonna be, sure. But to your own mom, to your own friends, to your spouse, if you use auto text for your spouse, your soul is more likely for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for your soul to reach heaven as far as I'm concerned. Cultivate a human relationship, man. Put in the work, okay? Put some skin in the game. Junk is good, by the way. So you're being honest, but if we were in a Discord together, I would reply to your message and then I would go to Google Images and I would type in raccoon with Discord colored speech bubble. And I would reply to your message and I would put a raccoon with a little gray speech bubble coming out. That says junk is good, by the way. And then it would, you don't even want to know. But it would get a lot of reacts. Let's just put it that way. This sounds like the end of a librarian video. It is the end of a librarian video. It's the end of my stream. Time for a supercharge. Double the charge of the 1 die and leave. That sounds nice. I'm like, dodge all combat? No, we can't be here, man. We gotta go. It is the last map. Yeah, we gotta go. It's not time to pick up my daughter, but we gotta go. Okay, this is Diceomancer though, man. This seems like a great game. Runs are maybe a little bit long. You're gonna forget next time? I mean, we're never coming back to this run ever again. This is a vertical slice, but it compelled me. It compelled me for sure. With some experience, it goes way faster. I mean, I could be persuaded to play it again. I mean that sincerely. They're like, this was not a sponsored segment. The mechanics are just crazy here. The heck, why am I in Google Chrome? Take me to Firefox, man. 1988, 500 million views. That's kind of crazy. I have no idea. A lot of views from the 80s. I want to dance with somebody who loves me. It doesn't really sound like it, but you send something out there. Yes, I know this. This is that time for myself. How can I get you alone? I don't think Hearts Alone would have that many views, but okay, we'll try again. Yeah. I always had time for myself. I never really got until I met you. It's not that, man? Okay, it's not that. Give me more. All I can hear is Alone, man. I'm sure I've heard it. It came out the same year I did. Hear your heartbeat. Listen to your heart. I always had time for myself. I never really cared until I met you. Yeah. I don't really know anything about Roxette, man. Sounds a lot like Alone by Heart, man. You also don't know anything about the lyrics to Alone? The only reason I know it is it must have been played on a Sam Yo classic rock ride that I've done like 5 times. Because I think the only time I've ever heard it is on the bike. I definitely know it has like a chorus. I never really cared until I met you. And then the end of the chorus is, how can I get you alone? It's also how I know every Def Leppard song, unfortunately. Anyway, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. Let's see. You know what? I'm gonna send you over to Corey, who is playing Super Mario Party right now. I'd like to have the opportunity to raid Corey, but usually it's after a segment in which we played something, so he goes and like makes a coffee, and then we raid a chair. So having the opportunity to raid him when he's actually there is like, that's very novel for me. So enjoy yourself. I'll see you tomorrow. Later. I still like from yesterday, we could have worked on it a little bit more, but we were low on glycogen and it was a group call. I'm the cum in the box. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. Mom has just found it. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. Mom